If I gave this example a couple of days ago, if you offer me ice cream and you say, Robert, you can choose vanilla or choose chocolate, and I say, I'll take the chocolate. To the outside observers, it will appear that Robert chose chocolate. Anyone would interpret it that way, but that's not what really happened. What really happened is I just like chocolate. And when did I decide to like it? Never. I just do like it. That was so, the idea that I'm choosing which flavor of ice cream is only a fantasy. What's really happening is I'm indicating what I like, and I never chose that. You actually can't choose what to like or dislike. It only seems that way, perhaps. You can say, I should really eat broccoli because it's good for me. Okay, maybe you can make that choice and stick to it for a while, but you can't choose to like broccoli if you don't. That will never be a choice. We just eat what we like, and then maybe we can apply some good sense to it. Most of us can't really, but some of us can. But even that's not really a choice, because when did you choose to be influenced by good nutritional advice? Never. You just are. The next person will hear the exact same advice and go on eating McDonald's. And that's just the way it goes. We do what we do. We follow our desires and our thoughts and our emotions, and we're not choosing that. That arises. And so our actions are a result of our feelings, thoughts, and emotions, which are not chosen. So we can't really say that the actions are chosen. If I have the desire to kill, I will kill. I really will. That's crazy to think about, but that's the way we are as people. And you can say, no, if I have that desire, I'll find this place in me that knows better. Well, if you have that place, mazel tov, but you're not the only human on the planet. There are people who are killing every day, lots of them. And they're doing it because that's their desire. They're driven by that desire, and they never chose that desire. We humans are very violent by nature. Most of us are not physically violent, but we're still violent. We even do violence to ourselves, mentally, and we can't stop. I was a psychotherapist for 20 years. It was my job, one of them, was to try to stop people from hurting themselves. That's what I wanted to do. I was dedicated to it. I had trained for it. I had studied. I used every trick in the book, including hypnotism. That's why I understand these internet gurus so well. I know what they're up. I know what you're up to, slide boots. Listen to me. So, if you are listening to good nutritional advice, it's because that's the way you are, not because that advice is convincing. It isn't. If it were convincing, all of us old people would be, on average, would be a lot better off than they look. I broke my back and I'm hurting, but other than that, eating well and exercising seems to be working pretty well for me. I'm going to stick to it. But I never chose that. I was active as a child. That's just what I wanted to do. Other kids just sat around and ate potato chips all the time or whatever and couldn't play baseball. That's just the way it is. You don't choose this. It comes upon us like fate. And then we have to live it out. And it's painful to live out one's fate. Even if you're lucky like Robert, even if you were born into a decent family, and my family paid for my education. What a gift. I got a college degree from a good college without paying a cent or being in debt. Amazing, right? So great start in life. And I have good equipment here. And it's still difficult at times. It just is. It's hard to be a human. We have thoughts and feelings that are hard to cope with. And we're not given all the time any reasonable way to cope with it. And my message is that's true. Sometimes you just have to sit there and eat it. And it's really hard. I get that. But what I am attempting to communicate in my books, and now maybe in this movie that Ricardo's making, yes, it's difficult. But don't let somebody give you a quick fix by telling you no person really exists. So your suffering is only imaginary. And as soon as you know that Brahman is the cause of all this and identify with that, your suffering will come to an end. Okay. The reason it was necessary for me to say that I'm awake and know it is so that I can say, and when you're awake, you still suffer. Because you're a human being with a human nervous system, and you're capable of pain and loss. And the words of, you fill in the blank, one of these guys who dresses so beautifully and has flowers and adoring masses at the feet there, some of them willing to kiss his boot. And he even sells pictures of himself in the gift shop in case you want to take one home to kiss. This is true. And even sells little vials of the earth that he has trod on. Am I right? Is this true, John? I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up. I am not. And these people are really hypnotic. And one reason that they're hypnotic is exactly what you brought up. They make a promise. And the promise is eternal bliss. They sit there.
You agree that those people who, whatever anyone's doing, it's not their choice. So even the people who are adoring the guru,
do not
they have no choice.
Right.
And same thing with the gurus. They
right.
have no choice.
And either does the guru have the choice.
Right. So I like this.
I get this.
I feel that if somebody's suffering and they want help, then we could suggest to them, there's a better way.
Well, see, I don't see it that way. All of this has to be here.
Well, yeah, but like you said, don't.
But I'm saying that in both my books and in the company here assembled, I'm saying that to a very select audience. Those other people who want to kiss somebody's feet aren't going to come here. Because if they try to kiss my foot, I'm going to say, stand up, you idiot. What do you think you're doing?
Because we've already been there. We've already been there.
Yes, you've already been there.
That's why we're open to this.
Yes.
Because we're tired of it.
So that's maybe true of you. I don't think it's entirely true of everyone in this room. There may be some people who are more on the borderline. But we're making this film here too, and this is my one shot to put these words out. And the reason is not that I think I can talk anyone out of it. I don't. But someone may hear what I'm saying, and in some mysterious way, they understand it. And what I was saying to Jim before is when understanding changes, behavior changes. I think this is one of my most important self-observations, that the way to change is not to try to use willpower. You don't have any, or maybe you don't have much. If you can maybe mess with your parents' minds. I'm willing to go there. I've got stuck a pin in it. But you may be able to listen, hear, and understand. You may. But you need someone who's speaking reasonably, otherwise the understanding won't be reasonable and you'll just fall deeper into delusion. Exactly. So I found I didn't start out criticizing. I'm not going to mention any names today. I'm already on the record, and some of these people might like to sue me or whatever. Okay, you know, we can, I kind of hope you do, because when we go to court, I'll be able to really command the audience and tell the truth about your bullshit. But it is bullshit. What they're doing is taking something that's natural to you and selling it back to you, wrapped up in fancy words and the authority of past masters. There are no past masters. Those people were just like me and you. You think Nisargadatta is any different from Robert? Not a bit. In fact, I think I could teach that cat a few things. I do. And maybe he could teach me a few things. It might go both ways. But I'm certainly not, I'm in awe of the universe, but I'm not in awe of Nisargadatta's rap, or Ramana Maharshi. I think Ramana Maharshi was a very peaceful man, and he liked to hug animals, so we do have that in common, which is beautiful. But some of the teaching, and some of his teaching is very lovely, I find, but some of it is just boilerplate Hinduism. And I don't buy that stuff at all. It's just religion. It's no better than Catholicism, Judaism, Islam, or any of the others. It's boilerplate. It's a description of the universe that doesn't match the universe that science tells us is here, which did not need to be created. Nobody needed to wave a wand and make the heavens and the earth. For all we know, that's always been here. And if it wasn't, if there was really some big bang, that's an amazing miracle in itself. We don't need somebody to have made that miracle. And if we do, and this is an old intellectual argument in case people are religious, if God made all this and we needed him to create all this, beautiful. Who created God? And who created the creator of God? And see, it's turtles all the way down, as they say. And so, if your argument, Miss Religion or Mr. Religion, is, well, God was always here. Yes, except I don't call it God. I call it this. And I don't like to call it God because God has all this other stuff pinned onto it and painted onto it and scribbled on the blackboard, so there's no space for us to write our own stuff. So I say erase the blackboard, start with a clean slate, and whip up your own metaphysics. How do you think this got here? I think it got here in a way that no one will ever comprehend, no matter how scientific we get. There'll be a gap there that the human mind is not sufficiently capable or intelligent enough to jump that gap. That's what I really believe. I could be wrong. Maybe in some future, when I'm not around anymore, the gap will be jumped. But I don't think so. And I'm not willing to have that gap filled in with bullshit. That's all it boils down to. Trip.
All right, here's my challenge question.
No, I'll go on and on, but I'm willing to stop.
I totally understand. Well, first of all, I think it's very valuable to point out. I think it's very valuable to point out the deficiency in following gurus and people like that. Okay. I also think it's perfectly natural and reasonable to be angry about it because a lot of crap is going down.
Are you angry about it?
I'm not. No.
I'm not either.
I was angry about it, okay? And I think it was good for me to be angry about it. And when I was doing the radio show for a while, I was angry about it. But ultimately, I came to the conclusion that you're saying now that they can't help it, just like nobody else can. And so ultimately, I've come into a place of pretty much I'm okay with it, and I'm kind of I'm compassionate about it, and I'm okay with it. And my question to you is that's a good place to be, right? Do you agree with that? To be okay with it and compassionate with it is a good place to be because they can't help it.
We're all in the same boat. All of us. We all have needs and we all try to fulfill the needs in one way or another. I'm just confessing how I feel mine. And I can't write a prescription for someone else. Each mind is a universe. Our being is impossibly complicated. Impossibly. No one can figure out all these desires and aversions and drives and neediness and feelings, thoughts, and emotions. It's chaotic. It's chaotic. So these spiritual practices evolve to make it less chaotic. Okay, I get that. If meditation helps you and makes it less chaotic, mazel tov, meditate away. I'm all for it. But it's not going to fix it. There's no end destination where there's no more suffering and chaos. It may take on a different flavor. Now, what I've found about all this that you mentioned, I don't even want it to be different. I don't want anything. I'm happy to just sit here. I could stop speaking now and just sit here and fine. I don't want anything, really. That's what I call awake. It's not that little desires don't bubble up, they constantly do. I mean, that's okay. And if one becomes pressing enough, let's say I desire to urinate, and I really need to, there won't be a decision. I'll just head for the water closet, yes? There's no getting around that one. Well, let me just finish up with Trip on this. So it's not, what I'm feeling towards people who are sitting at the feet of one of these gurus is not compassion. I'm just seeing this as someone who's on the same wheel that I am. They're in the same boat. And maybe when time goes by, they will drop out of that cult and they'll understand what you understand. There's no reason to write them off. I'm not really speaking to those people. Somebody who wants to kiss someone's feet, as I say, I'm not a good target for that behavior. If you're a real pretty girl, maybe you can kiss me, but not on the foot, please. That just won't be satisfying in the least. And so, yes, it all has to be here. Everything, but it's not looking outward that all has to be here. Everything that's bubbling up right now, suppose I have a heart arrhythmia. I have experienced those. I will notice it. That's where the compassion needs to be, that I'm subject to events. I am. Not that those people are confused, those dumb bunnies who, won't say his name, bow. No. Terrible. Bow to your own self. But it's not compassion for them that I feel, it's compassion for myself. I have self-compassion. I can't control my feelings, or my desires, or my fears, or my thoughts. They all arise. I either notice them or I cover it up with some escapism. That's the only choice I've got. And that's not really a choice, because escapism, Joan, doesn't work for me. I used to engage in it. I was pretty good at it. But it doesn't do anything for me anymore. It's paled. It fails to satisfy. It doesn't mean I don't enjoy the normal diversions. I like a glass of wine. I'm married and have a beautiful wife and a life with her that's sexual and everything. I like all that stuff that we all like, most of us like. I like to eat good food. I like to be with people, all of that. I like that. But I didn't choose those likes. And fulfilling them is not all that gratifying anymore compared to this, which is I don't even think about my likes and dislikes. I don't care about them. I don't really care what I like and dislike. It's unimportant. Sometimes I will like what's going on, like this. Sometimes I will dislike the heart arrhythmia, but that's what's on the agenda. And my old mentor, Walter Chappell, who I've bowed to a few times, but not at his feet, just at his mind, told me this, which has served me well all these years. He said, Robert, you've got to chew up your life one moment at a time, he says. You've got to chew up your life one moment at a time, whether that's the desire for sex or the fear of someone who might want to hurt you, let's say. You have to chew that up when you feel it. And sometimes, Walter said, you have barely enough saliva to get it down. Now that's my true experience. That's my real experience. It's not spirituality. It's not Robert is in this place and no one else in the room is in that place. No, we're all in the same boat. I broke my back, stared at the ceiling. There's plenty of that time when I had to chew really hard and had barely enough saliva to get it down. Plenty of time. I was suicidal, to tell you the truth, to be perfectly honest. What I was chewing up is thoughts of maybe this isn't worth it. This is terrible. This is before I had the surgery. And then after the surgery, there was more suicidal thoughts, but fewer of them, because the doctors had given me some reason to believe that I might not always be in this condition. And now I'm coming out of that condition, but I'm still in pain, so I have to chew that up and swallow it, moment by moment. And I'm perfectly willing to do it, because this world is so amazing. And the mites, I know about them. And when I shave in the morning and see my eyelashes, I go, oh. So, yeah.
There's a great movie, I'm wondering if you've seen it. It's called Kumari. It speaks to a lot of this stuff.
Kumari?
Kumari?
I have seen that.
Yeah.
Can you explain what it is?
Sure. It's this guy of Indian heritage, grew up in New Jersey, and he can put this Indian accent on, and his parents were really into Hinduism and stuff, and he spent a lot of time in India when he was a kid. So he just decided to become a guru, and he had the look on, and he had his little staff thing, and he got the clothes, and he started speaking with this accent, and he had these people around with him that would book him at yoga centers and stuff, and he actually created a following, and he would tell people really great stuff. It was just self-help stuff, Anthony Robbins kind of stuff, landmark kind of stuff, and it was all really good advice, taken in bits and pieces, and he was a smart dude. And he did this whole thing, and the kicker at the end of the movie was he showed up clean shaven with a nice dress shirt on and said, "Hi, my name's Sam," or whatever it was, and he had no accent. He's like, "I'm from New Jersey, grew up in India," but and the whole thing was, every piece of advice he gave to them, he's like, "I'm not a real guru. I don't know what I'm doing. So you actually did it for yourself. Like, I was there. You put the power outside of yourself onto me, and then you gave me free reign over your life. And then you actually took your own advice, because I was just giving you a confirmation on stuff." And there was a woman in there who actually got through her yoga thing, and she was this yoga master now, and she couldn't do that by herself. But when she talked to him, then she got the power to do it. And it was really amazing. And the final thing was, I don't know, there were 16 or 18 people, and only 2 of them were pissed off at the end, because all of them had realized, oh my God, my life is so much better after talking to you, but you weren't really the thing. I might as well talk to the mirror or whatever. And it was a really well done, powerful documentary to see exactly what Robert's talking about here is you are your own guru, and you can put that power outside, or you don't have to.
Hey, one thing that would be nice is it's not often that I get to be with people that are this conscious or whatever, and I always find that when we sit quietly for a little while together, it's really amazing. It feels wonderful just to be in that shared space of quietude. Can we do that at the end of this, do you think?
Well, This is the 6th day, and the previous 5 evenings after 6, when this formality ended and we were just all being together, were unbearably beautiful. So all I can say is there's a lot of mutual acceptance going on in this room. No one seems to be have a heavy agenda here, and it makes it really fun to socialize under those circumstances. For me, in fact, you know, I'm kind of a loner. I don't socialize very much anymore. I spend a lot of time alone. One might say by preference, but you see, that's already not really true. That's just the way the cookie is crumbling at the moment. But when I see this, I think, and so I was ambivalent about this. This whole thing is a suggestion of a friend who wanted to be here, but he couldn't be here. He discovered me on internet and kept asking to come and see me, and I would always find a way to put him off. But finally, he was convincing enough, and he came down. And this was not one of those strategic things like the middle-aged Buddhist cats did, where they would make it really hard to see them. One guy cut his arm off and held it out with the other arm, said, "Would you see me now?" You know, okay, that's the story. You know, but he came down, and we hit it off pretty well. It was nice, and I told him, you know, there's other. I don't know what it was that you said that turned the key in the lock, but other people have asked me, and I've put them off. And he says, "Why?" And I say, "Well, I don't know. I just like my privacy. I like to relax and not be on stage and all of that. Writing is good. I can express myself that way, and I like photography a lot. And maybe that's good enough." And he said, "Well, I have an idea. Just let them all come down at one time and do it for a week or two, and then you're off the hook for the rest of the year." And so that was the idea. Except now that we're really doing it, it might have to be twice a year, because I'm liking it. And it's not that I like sitting here being heard. That's kind of engaging in a way, but not really. What I like is the aftermath, when we're all just kind of free and we're discussing these things and where we came from and what we are and what we're up to in such a free way, because there's trust. You're not being judged. That's kind of been discussed and discarded as a method. And you're not being one-upped. No one's trying to figure out how they can prove to you that they're smarter than you are or something like that, because we're all in the same boat. We all have good minds here. Of course we do. And they're capable of deep thought if they need to. So the evenings have been great. And this is our first evening in casa. We're staying here tonight. Some food has been provided. I see some wine on the counter, and we'll just be here tonight whenever we end the meeting. And we'll just naturally morph into this beauty of being together in a group with like-minded people. And for me, that's been so engaging. I mean, I've had so much fun these nights. Really great fun. Maggie, I loved watching you dance. I really did. You're a marvelous dancer. Yeah, beautiful to see that. So, more questions?
Could I suggest maybe taking a little bit of a break,
Yeah.
Robert? Yeah. Robert, could I suggest maybe taking a little bit of a break?
Oh, take a break, yes.
I'm starting to get
I have rattled on here. Let's take a break.
Yeah, can we?
Been at it too long.